It's Fey over here.
Hi, this is Dolapo.
And this is Terminal 234.
Yes.
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back.
After our long 2-week hiatus, 14 days off.
Unexpected, unplanned.
Whatever. Well, it's basically his fault, though. He was vacationing it up.
We're not gonna talk too much about it. I'm just I can't express to you guys how much I've missed you.
You can't have a podcast and be like mum about everything.
Oh, really? Is that true?
Sometimes you want to know the tea.
Oh, there's like no tea. I took a couple trips the past weekends. Against the advice of my
Some
mother,
people,
for example.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't tell my mom I was going because I'm smart. And after the fact, she's like, "Oh, you didn't tell me." I know you didn't tell me because you knew I would say something.
Yep,
I was like, yeah, no more traveling. It's funny now because I have a group of friends that are like, "Let's plan a trip." I'm like, "Oh, like."
We'll see about that one.
Yeah, I mean, because as much as like I want to live my life and do stuff, like there's still Corona out here, and I'm still, I'm still aware. I'm still, even though it might seem like, oh, you're traveling and this and that, but I'm still trying to be cautious. Like, I'm not gonna just
to the best of your ability.
Exactly. Like when I travel, for example, every time we're in public, we're wearing a mask, stuff like that. One trip was not really a group trip. Like, it was like me and my girlfriend trip. So that was like, again, I wasn't really exposed to much people.
Yeah.
The group trip wasn't even that big of a group. So, this is me cop and please and let everyone know that, like,
he tried his best.
I'm not being crazy out here. Don't be scared of me.
Yeah, so. I was, over here in good old Maryland.
Yeah.
Watching the playoffs. Just chilling, just being me. As I do.
Yeah. No, I mean, nothing better than being yourself, no? Right. So I know you wanted to really, really talk about our president and some stuff that he said recently.
I did not really, really want to talk about our president and some stuff he said recently. Okay?
Okay.
But I don't mind talking about our president and what he said recently.
If you must talk
about it. If I must talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just start off with this so we can move on to better things. Trump, no news to anybody, lied. He lied in a major way. He lied in a way that is almost criminal. He lied in a way that jeopardized the lives of millions and has unfortunately, honestly, killed hundreds of thousands. And the lie I'm speaking of is one in which he basically knew since February that this virus, COVID-19, was super dangerous to the point where it was airborne. Or it is, let's not pretend COVID isn't here anymore. It is airborne, it is super dangerous, and it's at a level that has never been seen. It's unprecedented and deserved actions that were unprecedented and never been seen. And basically these allegations, or not allegations, what's the word? You know what I'm talking about?
Accusations, facts.
These revelations,
okay.
Yeah, are caught on tape, and they were made public by the person that was interviewing him. This person was interviewing him for a book, actually.
Okay.
A book that's slated to come out pretty soon, and with that, he's been having various interviews on tape with Trump for several months now. I think starting at the end of last year.
I assume the book is about Trump.
Yeah, okay. It is. And it does make me a little annoyed that it's now that the election is coming up that we're finding these things out. Like, why not put it out for the public and for public consumption earlier? Because it could have helped maybe. Because basically the reason we're saying it was a blatant lie is because Trump, ever since those comments were made to the interviewer, has said things like, oh, it's like the flu, it's not that bad, or you don't need a mask, you should be okay. Things like that, like things that could have definitely been the difference between thousands and thousands and thousands of people living or dying. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of annoyed that like it's now that we're finding these things out. Like I feel like if these things were on tape months and months ago, why not release it for public consumption earlier? But who knows, there might be a lot of sticky tape with that. that
I'm
wasn't
sure. I
revealed.
assume the book is done and that it's coming out now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and
okay.
it's conveniently less than 60 days before an election.
Yeah, I mean, so when you tie to the election, though, do you think the person writing the book, like, he's against Trump, or like?
I think the person just has motives like of exposing huge political revelations like this one. Like he actually was part of revealing all the Watergate stuff back in the Nixon era. So clearly this guy is seasoned when it comes to things of this sort. So I think his motivation is just like getting down to the nitty gritty and finding out.
Nixon was Republican, right?
Yeah.
So this guy's definitely a Democrat.
I don't think so. I just think Republicans be shady out here. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, we're not gonna do that, guys. We take that back.
No, you basically just pointed it out. I'm not saying Democrats can't be shady either. I'm just making a very factual point. Like they are shady.
Shouldn't make the one statements because we can't say.
Dolapo, I'm so tired of your PC ass sometimes because I'm sorry. I'm unapologetically saying what I said.
It's okay, said what I said. But I'm just letting the people know that. Obviously,
if you don't agree that Republicans are shady, then I'm sorry for you, but that's what I said, and I mean it.
Yeah, that's a terrible statement to make. Like,
I'm not okay. Why is it that saying one negates the other? I'm not saying that Democrats can't be shady. I'm not by any means.
But
I
you know what
Republicans can be.
No, see, exactly. Okay, wait.
In response to the fact that you pointed out that Nixon was a Republican and Watergate scandal, Trump is a Republican and COVID.
My only problem is you just saying Republicans be shady or are shady, whatever the word you actually use. In response
to what
of course.
You said. So if we had context to it.
But see, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that statement by itself, I'm like, let's not just say it like that.
But that was what I'm...
So that's
what I'm pushing back on. Like, that statement by itself had context around it. So if you decide, Dolapo, while you're editing this, if you decide that you want to edit it to the point where all that's left in is what I said and no context around it, then I guess you can start adding all these, like... PC
I understand what you're saying,
but
I just think that sometimes we say like generalized statements.
But that's how I feel, though. Like that's what I'm not.
I'm not telling you not to feel that way. I'm just telling you that it's an inaccurate statement, and I don't like me personally. That's why I don't like delving into politics because we say a lot of statements that are like that are just like, why?
But who are you trying to protect in this instance?
I'm trying to protect like the truth of Republicans are shady is just not a factual statement, and it's not a generalization that I'm willing to be like, I stand behind that.
I said Republicans can be shady or be
you did
shady.
Not say
I said Republicans be shady.
Exactly.
Okay, but it's just like how if I say men be shady out here, it's not that women aren't shady, it's that men have tendencies that are shady, and I'm just pointing it out in the context of whatever I'm not disagreeing
with you saying that, but if you said men be shady, I would be like, hey, relax. Like, I would still, like, that's the thing. You're taking it, like, in a different way. I'm still going to be like, not all men. Like, that's all I'm saying. I don't know how you could argue against that. Fair enough. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I said what I said.
So, Faye said Republicans be shady. Yeah. And she doesn't want anyone to tell her difference.
If that's what was taken out of this conversation, I'm sorry for you.
That's all that was taken. That's all I remember is that you told me they'd be shady.
Okay, cool.
And they don't be shady.
This is why this world is where it's at right now.
Like, Eminem is not a Republican. Anyway, let's... All right. So the other thing that's also going on, though, since we're kind of, like, talking about COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I have to stop saying that. I don't know if you know. But you know. We just talked about it. But they are giving us some money back on our taxes. Right. Specifically, I know there are some parameters that you have to fit into and, how much you make. It's always based on how much you make. Right. But basically, your Social Security taxes are going to stop being withdrawn from you automatically. So you're going to, I think within the next paycheck period, I think my next paycheck, if I'm not mistaken, I should see like a little extra money, whatever that percent is. Like it's like 2 or 4%. They're not going to take it out till the end of the year. But they are going to take it back from January to April, I believe. They're going to collect, they're going to increase the percentage. They're basically going to double it. So whatever money they don't collect now, they're going to collect later, but you will have a little bit more money to play with on your paycheck. Like I said, it's in the range of 2 to 4%. There's a specific number out there. You can look it up.
Yeah, you'll have more money to play with till the end of the year until you don't have more money to play with.
Exactly.
Next year.
So it's just good to know that that's how it works. So it's not like the money we got before, the stimulus checks, where it was like, okay, like we're not taking this exact money back from you. Right. This one is actually like they're going to take it back. Right. So just beware, enjoy the money, but maybe plan accordingly. Don't think that, I'm getting more money forever now. Like they'll take the money back.
Yeah, and before we leave the politics tip, the main motivator, honestly, for us talking about it was because Miriam made a good point. Like, there's no reason not to talk about it in this era, and why not use our podcast as a conduit for any sort of change or political investment or involvement that we can. So I think that it was necessary that we talked about it, and I think before we leave this tip, remember to vote, guys. I feel like, unfortunately, when people say that, they mean remember to vote for whomever they support, and not just like generally speaking. So yeah. I will acknowledge the bias there. Like when you're saying remember to vote, you know what I'm saying. But
yeah, no, we're not. Faye just wants.
Yeah, I want to double down.
Faye just wants to bait me into like arguing for an hour over something that I didn't even want to talk about.
No. That was like a little wink and nod to the people out there who agree with me.
I appreciate you saying that, because I actually remember us having an argument about the whole you should vote. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're big enough to admit it. That I mean, you said it then too. I just disagreed with you saying it, but
you just okay. Like you like the grays. You don't like stepping to one side or the other.
Because you know
what
I think about the
right
world?
On that line.
I think the world has like a little bit of black, a little bit of white, and so much gray. And I'm like, why would you feel so confident being on one side or the other? Like, there's so much gray in between. Okay. I'm like, let's respect that gray.
Okay.
That's all.
And I'm so sorry for moving this even more forward, but what I can acknowledge here is that I hate that it's like a two-party system and you kind of have to choose one side.
That's like
and it
the
like
biggest
pits people against each other to the point where I'm saying Republicans be shady makes it seem as though like I'm not acknowledging Democrats have their fault. Gang. Exactly. Even though honestly, if there were 5 different parties, there's a chance I would have said it and it wouldn't have come off so aggressive. So I will say that's part of the sauce.
That is honestly my biggest issue with the political system here is just like, I don't understand how there's only 2 sides. Like,
it's kind of gross.
It doesn't make that much sense. And it's going to be like that forever as far as the way things are. It's been like that forever. No? Okay, let's not go into it. We'll talk about it another time. Let's see what
happens later in life.
Because this is actually something I want to talk about for a whole topic. So we'll talk about it another time.
Cool.
On to more fun things that have been happening. We've been kind of tracking the versus battles and stuff. The ones that we care about anyway. And I know they had one, I want to say last week, but I could be wrong.
It might
Monica
be up to
and Brandy.
2 weeks ago now?
It might be 2 weeks ago. Monica versus Brandy. I didn't watch it. I heard it was a fun time. I like both of them. I don't think I would enjoy the battle, like 20 songs of each. Like, I might like 7 Brandy songs and 5 Monica songs.
I feel like this is what you said during Jill Scott, Erykah Badu as well. I think these genres are just not your, like...
They're not, especially like during that time. Like now, maybe I'm more into that type of music. But when those songs, like when Monica was coming out, she was on, like people loved her. I was just like, this song is slow. Like,
verses do lend themselves more to maybe
nostalgia.
Well, yeah, nostalgia, but also like the type of music that it lends itself to is more like rap, hip hop. Like I feel like bars for bars. That type
like
of
the
vibe,
concept of it,
the
right?
concept of it versus like R&B maybe. But to kind of also debunk that, I think this was like the highest rated, if you want to use ratings as the term, but like the highest viewership of all the verses. I think at one point they had maybe 1 million on Instagram or something like that.
I'm surprised by that.
Outside of Instagram, obviously, it's also streamed via Apple Music. So yeah, I think it definitely was that nostalgia thing going on that made everybody want to see it. I definitely tuned in live. I totally enjoyed it. Like, one of my favorites versus so far. I think going into it, I thought Brandy would win, and leaving it, I think Brandy won. But we always say that it's not about winners and losers. That we all win when it comes to verses and the entertainment. That
definitely. I mean, like I said, I probably right off the top, like I'm going to know more Brandy songs than Monica. So
yeah, and I think you would think so, but I think when you're actually watching the verses, you'd be surprised. Like that's how I was. I was like, oh wait, I do know that song. Oh wait, I have heard that song when it came to Monica's side of it. I definitely though knew several more Brandy songs than Monica, but I will say Monica came out pretty strong. Like, it was like a pretty good back and forth for the most part. I mean, towards the end, like, Brandy just has jugulars. Like, you can't miss it. But I guess beyond that, beyond just the music, the vibe of the whole verses was very interesting. I mean, it's no surprise that there was a little bit of awkward tension going on just because of their history. I mean, the basis of their collaboration was like the boy is mine, like competition type vibe. So, I mean, their personal life has shown to be very similar. There's like a little bit of a parallel. Not necessarily that it's about a man, but that, you know, they just have a lot of competition. People have pitted them against each other for eons, and unfortunately they kind of played into it themselves as well.
I mean, I think it's the industry, right? Like, it's how things go, where if Monica and Brandy come up around the same kind of time, they're similar artists, they're going to be compared. And then everything, like, they're basically in competition. Even if they don't want to be in competition, they are in competition. Because if someone is making a movie and they need a song on their soundtrack, it's like, which one are we going to go for? You know what I mean? So
for sure. People
always put you against each other, and it is a little bit like that because that's just how it was. They're, like you said, they're quite similar in their come up. So,
but they try to keep it cool, try to keep it cute, try to stay like as good as possible. I mean, someone did this, liken it to like an awkward Thanksgiving with like two cousins that really don't get along, but you know, they have to stay cool for the grandma. So it was a little bit like that. There were a few moments that you're like, ooh, it's a bit cringy, but it was still fun and entertaining nonetheless.
I mean, the biggest thing is that it's entertaining. I haven't seen anything super crazy come out of it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're professionals. Like, they've been doing this for probably more than half their lives each. So
for sure.
They know how to handle those types of situations.
Yes.
And I'm glad everyone had fun. I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. Yeah.
Speaking of battles, speaking of verses.
Yeah. So I don't think we ever talked about this on a podcast. But we talked about it outside of an actual episode. So there is this underlying beef tension between Davido and Burna Boy. Right?
That's a fact.
It is a little bit weird because they always seem to be supportive of each other until like literally very, very recently, like months. Within the past couple of months, it seems like there's been some kind of beef. The origin of it, I don't know. Depends on what you read. But basically, the origin of it, from what I read, was Burna Boy, Davido's camp felt away. Davido's camp felt away about Burna Boy. Like, apparently Peruzzi wrote on a song. Let's not go into all the details, right?
Okay, yeah.
Let's not go into all the details.
All you need to know
is going to come a long story. But basically,
it started somewhere.
There's some type of tension between them, even though like there was never tension before. And Davido recently just actually released a new song. It's called Femme. It's an okay song. It came out this week, I want to say.
I didn't really like it that much, but
yeah, I didn't like it. I liked it at the beginning because it started off with like, oh, this is about to be a good song, and then like the chorus or the hook is like literally, it's like, even though I've heard the song once or twice, I can't remember what the like. There was no like, oh, this is the catchy part. Like, it's a very average song, I would say.
And I know we're not going to go really that far into like the origins of their beef or whatever, but I think kind of going back to something you said a little bit ago where like if you're pitted against each other, like you're kind of just going to play into it. Like, of course. It's naturally going to happen in the industry where if a couple people are on the top, they're going to be compared over and over again. And definitely, you know, with that in mind, eventually the parties involved kind of play into
I mean, people love tension. People love to see two people go against each other, two entities go against each other. For the longest time, it was Davido versus Wizkid. It still is, like, amongst fans. Like, they're always compared. Burna Boy has kind of risen to that echelon, right? So he's in the conversation now, though I think most people that have been around won't really, like, you're not going to hear, I might be wrong, I might be biased here, but I don't think you're going to hear a lot of people say that, like, Burna Boy has had a way better career than Davido. Like, they're comparable, and because Davido kind of, like, broke first, like, he always kind of gets that little bit of respect more. I think the source of the tension, as far as I'm concerned, is Burna Boy sees himself as, like, yeah, I'm at that level. Actually, I think I've surpassed you now. Mm-hmm. And Davido honestly hasn't fed too much into it until this song. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, Davido's kind of just been like, yo, where did you come from? Like, like he's kind of like, oh, peace, love, as much as that's kind of corny or whatever. But like, that's really the vibe he be on. So it's kind of interesting. Like, Burna Boy in a lot of ways is more of the instigator in this. Okay, yeah. But we know Burna Boy is a little bit feisty. And I think he's just being feisty. Yeah. So yeah, no, very interesting. Listen to the song. If you had to pick one of those artists, who would you pick? I know you're gonna pick. Who I'm picking, yeah. But for the audience, it's Burna for me. Do you think, does it make a difference to you that he is more of the instigator or coming off more as the instigator in this? Or do you just not care? Because I know people are like, oh, Burna, like a lot of people have things against Burna Boy. Burna Boy is so cocky. Burna Boy is this. There's been a lot, like he has a lot of bad
but when I'm picking based on just like the artist I vibe with more, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's a little annoying that you're instigating and looking for trouble where trouble isn't looking for you, but it's also sometimes just part of the game. Like, it adds, I mean, I saw you looking into this story and how excited you were getting over it. And I feel like some entertainers realize that as well. And they don't mind playing into it or leaning into it a bit. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
I think it's fun. I mean, it's an Afrobeats beat, like, or beef, I should say. Yeah. That I don't think is too bad. I find it kind of entertaining. It's like, as long as nobody's getting hurt, as we know, or as long as nobody is, making it way bigger of a deal than it needs to be, I think it's fine. Yeah,
as long as it doesn't turn violent in any kind of way. I think it's, like you said, I think it's fun, entertaining, interesting. Like, it's cool. I do think, like you said, it helps both of them because it garners interest in like, oh, what are they doing? Especially now they're basically the two biggest international acts kind of making it over here. Like, for them to have a thing, like, America immediately.
It definitely made me listen to them a lot earlier than I would have. Like, I wouldn't have heard it probably until much later if it wasn't for this beat.
Yeah, no, it's definitely gonna like get people interested in them. And like I said, it's a weird beef because it seems like it's more one-sided. Even though like Davido just released a whole last song, but just recently he was even like just listening to Burna Boy's song, like the 23 song. I think he posted on social media like him like vibing to. So it's like
quite interesting. I think this might also be something like, you know how Kendrick and Big Sean had that moment too, where it's like they were going kind of back and forth, and it felt like there were subliminals left and right, but then it just kind of fizzled out as like not really anything. It was like a lot much to do about nothing type of vibe. Yeah. So maybe that's the case here, and maybe also Davido is just playing with the beef, just playing around, like let the controversies continue. Like, I'm cool over here, but if this song is going to be bigger because I'm leaning into something, why not?
Yeah, no, I think that I don't think it's a serious beef. Like, personally, I don't think they hate each other because they were actually cool before, and I don't think it's that deep. And I think they're just playing it up because
you need to read into it. If you don't know anything about what we're talking about, I think you should go look into the lyrics here and there, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Yes, exactly. You want to do your song for the week?
Yeah, sure. I think I'm going to choose a song from Tiwa's most recent album, Celia. I don't know what it is about her PR team, but they've been on it because somehow a lot of her content has been coming across, like content that I already kind of subscribe to or listen to or read or whatever. Like a few of my podcasts had her on. One of which is like Lip Service, and those interviews were really good. And they definitely motivated me to go listen to the album.
She's very well spoken, so
and she is very well spoken. Yeah, and I just got a good amount of, I guess, background on the album and her as a person and where she's like been and where she's going, because she just got signed to a label here in the States. I don't remember
one of the big ones. Yeah, one of the majors. At this point, every big artist is signed to a label here, but she did just recently get signed. Exactly,
and she sees it as a huge like accomplishment, and something that's going to progress her career to a point where she's been wanting. So with that in mind, the album Celia was decent. It was good. There were good songs here and there. But let me just choose one. The one I like a lot. There were a couple, but the one I like a lot is Ole featuring Naira Marley. Yeah, I think that one's really good. And Naira's feature is pretty awesome. Like, he speaks Yoruba the whole time, speaks some wisdom to you guys.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was good. I think it was a good song. The one that's really big right now is Koroba, I think. And I really like that one too, but I feel like if you're listening to Tiwa at all, you've probably heard that song. So
I honestly haven't heard it.
But you aren't listening to Tiwa right now.
I'm not, but to be honest, I really like what she's been doing recently. Like the songs that I've been hearing.
Yeah.
I used to be like, I don't want to say I was a hater, but I was kind of people that like, I don't see why everyone is so hyped. Like I don't like so many of her songs. But a lot of her music, like over the last year and a half, has been really good. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to listen to this album.
Because I agree with you, but like Miriam, our producer over here, completely couldn't disagree more. Because she was the Tiwa person, like from jump, honestly. Like she likened her to like the Beyonce of Nigeria, whatever. And like she's actually more disappointed nowadays, feeling like the vibe has totally changed and altered, and it just doesn't feel like the Tiwa she fell in love with. And I think that's why we can appreciate her more, in the sense that we didn't feel that way about her initially. So we're seeing it as like growth and like different and, you know, refreshing. And Miriam sees it as some sort of betrayal. Not to speak for her, but she literally just told me this.
Yeah. That's very interesting. It might also just be the style of music, because I do think her music is more upbeat, more like kind of fitting in with the general Afrobeat sound compared to before. Before, I think she was making more. Let me not make this comparison, but I feel like she's almost kind of on the trajectory of what Adekunle Gold was doing to like what he's doing now, where he's more poppy compared to before. Though I like what he was doing before, so it's a different. But that's a good one. I'll check out her album. My song is Ginger Me by Rema. Ginger Me. Yeah, it's a really good song. I don't know if it's that new, but I just kind of got into it within the last couple of weeks. Rema is another one of those artists I feel like his hype has like surpassed his actual like productivity. But I think he's starting to maybe catch up to it. If people stop hyping him, I think he'll catch up to it. No, really, because I have, actually, you know, Mecca hits me up like every other week with like, this artist is the biggest artist in the world, or they're going to be the biggest artist in the world. He's better than Rema. Like Rema is like his standard. I'm like, okay, like, I don't know why we decided Rema was like the best ever. Like he had like 2 really good songs.
In the case of Emeka, I think he just has an affinity for Rema, so
he does.
I think there is a bit of bias there.
Yeah, but everyone gets compared to Rema, and I'm like, why Rema? So, but this song is actually really good. You should check it out.
Okay.